Hello, hello, hello. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Reach Talk. We're happy to be here with you all this morning or this afternoon, depending upon where you're joining us from, across the world, across the globe. I'm your man, Stan the Man Martin. I'm happy to be here with my friends and colleagues, and we have an exciting show for you all today. All right. For those of you who might be joining us for the first time, just want to give you just a bit of background information about Reach. Reach stands for racial and ethnic approaches towards community health. It's a movement, it's an initiative that we're working on here in Buffalo, New York, that's really changing lives. Our goal is to really improve the health and wellness of our community. And the way that we're doing that is by building the capacity of residents, working partner and standing shoulder to shoulder with key stakeholders to address in terms of improving community clinical linkages to our service providers. We want to also look at the health disparities as it relates to tobacco. But more importantly, or in addition to that, one of the things that we're also looking is to increase access to healthy foods and nutrition. And that's going to be the center of our focus today. All right. I want my esteemed team to introduce themselves. I'm going to pass the mic, pass the baton over to Ebony. How you doing, Ebony?
I am well. I am so glad. Listen, all three of us are here. And sometimes, often, it's maybe two of us, and we mix and match it up. But I'm excited when all three of us get together. So I'm excited about our great conversation and our guest. So I'm going to pass it to my other co host, Sam. How are you?
I'm doing well. I agree. It's nice when all three of us are on and we're able to kind of build off each other and work as a team of three with our guests today. So I'm really glad to see the both of you here.
Yes.
When we think about that, in terms of like, it's been so long since we have been together. It's like it's been a while. So this is like a anomaly. That's my days from Star Trek, what have you. But we also want to give a shout out to our extraordinary producer Angelita, who's behind the scenes and making things happen. Super shouts out to Angelita. So we have a guest that's working with us today. That's a content expert that like likes to get their hands into the mix, into the soils. Rachel, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work that you're doing here in Buffalo?
Hi, everyone. I'm Rachel Lassiter. I am a registered dietitian. I currently work at DUville College as program director for the Nutrition Empowerment Program. And we are a community-focused and facing a nutrition education project that is funded by the Mother Cabrini Foundation. And we are doing a lot of good projects over on the west side of Buffalo, helping educate people about eating healthier, cooking, and generally just, leading better lives and treating chronic disease through better diet. So we have several different projects we're working on. We have a farmers market that will be opening June 6th. We have a medically tailored meal project that some people are in. It's a very small cohort, but we're seeing a lot of positivity with that project. We also help support several food pantries on the west side of Buffalo. And we also just finished a community entrepreneur program where we gave 5 people the ability to create food businesses to help add to different cultural and just economic benefit to the community as well.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. You said the west side of Buffalo. As I mentioned, we got some folks joining us from across the globe. You
Yes.
want to tell us a little bit about the community, about the area, and then we'll jump into we're going into right from there.
Well, if you're not familiar with Buffalo, the west side of Buffalo is heavily populated with members of the Hispanic population, as well as a lot of people from different countries as well, because we are a safety city. Where sanctuary city, more pronouncedly. So a lot of refugee population is also located on the west side of Buffalo. So we have a lot of different cultures. I want to say, I was told there's 83 different languages spoken on the west side right now. So there's so many different cultures, and with that, there's a need for individuals. Oh, okay. Did everyone else's screen? Okay, my screen disappeared for a second. So there's a need for, but nutrition education is not, a one language problem. There are people of all cultures and races facing, health issues. And our goal is to help people learn to eat healthier and, have means to eat healthier through our project over at DUville.
Okay. Great. Yeah, the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. No, I'm just kidding. Okay. But anyway, that's another subject. But I know that, some of my colleagues, Sam, might have, if you want to jump in here, we're going to tag team a little bit. So I know, Sam, you had a few questions or, just, conversation that you wanted to, take a deeper dive in. So I'm going to pass the mic over to you.
Yeah, of course. And, this project means a lot to me, very personally. I am also on the West Side, grew up over here. And so, yeah, we are serving a lot of different cultures. Very proud of that here on the West Side. So a lot of Arabic speaking people, Karen, and then, of course, a lot of people from those Hispanic backgrounds. So between all of that, and then, of course, all of the populations that we talk about and serve in Buffalo, food is the most basic. At the end of the day, we're all human. We need food to survive. It is the fuel that fuels our body. And so I'm really excited that you're working on this kind of project to making sure that we have one of our most basic necessities, right? Food, shelter, clothing. Other than that, we're not doing too hot as a people if we don't have those basic things. So I think one of my first questions, so that our listeners understand, what exactly is a dietitian?
A dietitian, sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. So a dietitian basically is a medical professional that usually you don't necessarily know about. We often serve in the hospital, and people usually don't meet us unless they're in the hospital. We're trained to pretty much help people in an acute state, but we're also trained to help people, modify behavior patterns. So there's several different places you can find yourself as a dietitian. I am in the field more of what we would call community dietetics. So I do a lot of work with people outside of the hospital. When you're in the hospital, that's not the place to help people make behavioral change. That's not the place to help people understand like how their chronic disease may be affecting their health and how they can manage their diet to affect their to make their chronic disease either more manageable or put it into a remission state or something of that nature. When you're in the hospital, we're trained to read lab values and do all these things and, get you healthy at that point and get nutrition in you. That's our main goal, to make sure that you have the nutrients to survive. But like I said, at that point, when you're in a hospital situation, which is most time when you're going to see a dietitian, that's not the place where you try to change those type of behaviors. So I entered the field because I saw the need in my community for better education around nutrition and understanding how nutrition can help impact their overall health. So I chose to go into the field of community dietetics because that's like outside of the hospital, in programs like the ones that we're hosting at DUville, and just in general, if you're more of an outpatient dietitian, or if you're a dietitian that does more counseling, that's where you're going to help someone more directly. So some dietitians have private practices where they also work with people one-on-one and do counseling. And there's also like dietitians that work in long-term care centers and do rehab, but that's also much more leaning toward the clinical dietitian, which are the type of dietitians that are in hospitals. But I chose to go into this field because I saw the need for people to just have the education around just better eating and better diet in terms of their health.
Yeah, no, that's great. I very much appreciate the point where you say the hospital is not the place to learn and it's not the place to change behaviors. It's kind of, the last step.
We want to get
critical mass. Yeah.
Yeah. You want to try to get to people, preventatively. Like we want to do preventative medicine, not, when they're already there. That's when the problem's already there.
Right. You don't want to have to get there before you realize, maybe I should change some things. I mean, and if you have to, you have to, but you kind of want to avoid that. So we appreciate that. So with that said, to a lot of people, this might sound like basic information. I'm not sure. But at the same time, we got to know what is proper nutrition and why is it important?
Yes. So I would like to just say that proper nutrition is really making sure you get the nutrients in you that you need. For some people, that is basic, and for some people, it's not. A lot of people don't understand that that food can provide pretty much the majority of the nutrients that you need. Like, you can get what you need through food in most cases, and that you should seek to get what you need through food. We often eat things simply because they taste good or it's convenient or just whatever, whatever the means is to get that food to you. But and we're not in a food environment, unfortunately, that supports healthy eating. Our food environment, even the better aspects of it, still support a lot of, mindless eating and eating that isn't necessarily going to support overall health. But also, as humans, we also don't, we culturally just don't eat solely to provide nutrients to our bodies. We eat socially. We eat to celebrate. We eat when we're sad. We eat for a series of reasons. So as humans, and that's just normal. It's not like emotional eating isn't like, and celebratory eating, and eating in a pattern like 3 times a day. That's all. A lot of these things are socialized into us, and to understand that proper nutrition is really just getting the nutrients that you need to sustain life. Our bodies will do whatever it has to do to make sure that it happens. And so there's a lot of fad diets and stuff of that nature that occur because people are, seeking out, an image or a look that's not necessarily the best thing, when you really want to just make sure you're getting the nutrients you need to survive and, make your body thrive and, function best.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Personally, it's something that I'm also doing. I'm still learning and unlearning, unpacking. I made the comment about it being basic, but sometimes it's not basic. Sometimes you have to unlearn things that you learned from the media, things that you learned in school, and then from peers and other folks, just the things that you hear. So that's important. So I guess my second question would be, how does good nutrition relate to overall wellness? What does it mean for food to impact the rest of us?
Yes. So as I was mentioning earlier, food is a very important part, but it's not all of wellness. And a lot of people think, just because someone is skinny that they are healthy, or just because someone is fat that they are unhealthy, and that, or I shouldn't say fat, overweight, that they are unhealthy. And these are, while factors in overall health, they're not the main parts of health. Your weight is only one part of your health measure. Your lab values, like your cholesterol, your blood triglycerides, if you have, a blood sugar issue, your A1Cs, your, liver enzymes, all these things actually count into health. It's not simply a matter of weight. Also, even if you exclude weight and all those things from that's not overall health. And like stress levels, sleep, mental health, like these are all parts of your overall wellness. And so nutrition is just part of that. And I like to point that out as well, because because there's individuals with eating disorders, and so you don't want to, and a lot of people those are on another level a mental health issue, because they people are trying to control this, an aspect of their life through their nutrition, through their either overeating or undereating or something like that. And it's important to point out that nutrition is an very important part of our overall health, but it's not all of our overall health. And so making sure that you're not assuming that you're healthy or unhealthy based on just simply something like your weight, because it's not that simple. You need to make sure you're getting proper sleep. Like I said, you need to manage your stress. You need to manage your mental health. You need to manage, you need to exercise. You need to move your body. You need to do all those things to make sure that you're optimally at your best state.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Like I said, it's something that I've been working on, but it's definitely part of, making sure that my energy is up, the way that I shifted, working on nutrition for my personal self.
Mm-hmm.
I focus on foods that make sure that it is helping to provide like stronger muscles, because I've been doing a lot of, boxing and things of that nature. And I think about food as fuel. And so that's the most important part, is what sustains you, what keeps your energy going. And I'm a grad student on top of working, so I need that energy. And that's the way I like to think about things. And I think that's an important conversation piece. And I keep thinking of younger kids, because younger kids get the message about food real young.
Very young.
And that's not something that we talk to them about enough. And it's definitely not part of any kind of school curriculum. So kind of a tangent there, but that's exactly what you were inspiring in me, is that this is, again, I don't mean to say it's basic information. It's a basic necessity, but we don't really treat it like it's a basic thing to teach about and to have conversations about.
And especially, as you mentioned, especially at like children, it's a really good time when they are young, is to try to establish healthier food practices, because Yeah, like if you leave a kid to their own devices, they're gonna eat all cookies, you know, like so like, and no judgment, cookies taste great and they're okay, but you know, kids need, you know, nutrients and everything to grow, and if they don't get the proper food sources, they can find themselves in the state, you know, a poor state of health as an adult if, you know, if they don't adopt better habits, you know, often when in their youth.
And I know that we've kind of formulated a lot of our questions to talk about this in terms of wellness and just what nutrition can be good for. But when we talk about the younger people and what food can really, what food can mean for younger people, this is where you tend to get into a lot of problems where kids see food as, you know, the bad thing, or this isn't something that I should have, or, you know, guilt and shame develop around it. It causes all kinds of problems that, you know, go well into adulthood. So
especially with our current social media climate and everything around image and all, like, and so yeah, it's really good to just have kids, you know, understand that, you know, what the best things to eat are, which are fruits and vegetables, but to understand that, you know, like, as a kid you're growing, so you really shouldn't be restricting foods as a child. Every day you're supposed to, you know, grow, like you're supposed to eat like a regular kid, and but you should make sure that that diet is as healthy as it can be for someone in that age bracket. And there's, you know, like I say, cookies are okay sometimes, but you can't leave children to make their own decisions often in terms of, you know, that type of thing, because, you know, kids will lean towards sugar once they have sugar. But, you know, just make sure they understand how to incorporate other vegetables, fruits, healthy whole grains, just the same way an adult should eat healthy, but you know, to make sure that they understand, you know, earlier on maybe in life why those things are important.
I love this connection between the mental health piece and nutrition and food. It's all very much very interconnected and very important to talk about. So I'm glad we are. But shifting over back to, you know, barriers, to healthy eating. What are some of the barriers to healthy eating?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, our food environment is not necessarily set up to promote healthy eating. So I say that in general, in the terms of America, you know, just in general, like our portion sizes here are far too large. We have a lot of foods in the market that just didn't simply exist 100 or so years ago. You know, so you know, there's a lot of conspiracy around. I mean, talk of conspiracy around specific, you know, targeting of individuals in terms of, you know, providing bad health. And I mean, that could be true, that could not be true. I'm not, you know, I'm not going to, I don't know. Like, I don't know. But what I do know is that these companies are very focused on profit. And therefore, they created foods that didn't necessarily need to exist. Also, with the nature of the economic situation in, like, you know, the 70s and 50s, and post war and everything. We developed a lot of preservation methods that we, you know, so we had like all these TV dinners, and like women were able to go to work, and like, so it changed the economic system of America, as well as, so it like, people were very excited about that. And then we find out now, years down the road, we have all this processed food, and it's not the best food for us. You know, you can have some of it, and you know, it serves its purpose in certain places, but it's not the best way to eat. Also, like, if we want to talk about local farming, that's way better than, you know, the farming situation that we've created. So the need of our overall food market needs to change drastically. Now, will America do that? Who knows? Because to change the overall big agriculture the way it is would be quite the undertaking. And, you know, I would welcome to see it, but I don't know if it'll actually be a thing, because the populace will have to demand it. And I don't see that occurring. Now, with what we have now what we know we have also in our urban areas are several food deserts, and, you know, like, food scarcity issues amongst our impoverished population. And that just also leads to a whole nother issue of people finding themselves in a state where they can't even get access to healthier foods. And so it's very hard to adopt a healthier diet when you've always been around a situation that's not the healthiest, and you don't really even have the education to how, if you don't even have a supermarket near you, and you don't have access to fresh fruits and vegetables, and you've really never had access, you probably don't know how to prepare them. And if you do get a hold of them, you know, you don't know how to prepare them. And then it's an issue of, you don't like them. You know, you've been eating 25 years of Cheez-Its, and so now you don't even want that food. And so you have to help people learn around, like, you know, like you said, unlearn practices around eating, and then learn new ones around, because I often go to stores and I just see what people have in the basket in front of me, and it's like pizza. It's just like, it's, you know, things that they can instantly heat up. There's no vegetables. Like there might be a bag of salad, and it's, I'm just like taken aback because I've learned not to eat that way. But I mean, like, you know, who's to say like this person's not a bad person? They're just eating what they like to eat. They, you know, like they're eating what they know to eat, and they're eating like the way they've always eaten. And so to help someone learn the way out of that and to understand that there's you know, they can enjoy food that is significantly healthier, and understand that, you know, like teach people how to, you know, eat healthier is really something that I would like to be able to do more of.
Rachel and, you know, Sam, I've been leaning into the conversation, waiting to chime in, playing double dutch here.
Yeah.
You know, we talked a little bit about the individual and somewhat other environment, and you know, it can be costly, you know, to eat healthy, as you're saying, you know, Rachel. For what recommendations do you have, you know, at the individual level or work that you're doing, and also at the environmental level that needs to happen?
Yes. So first, I would say it can be. It can definitely seem more costly. I don't think that it actually is when you take the numbers and you actually change like your overall purchasing like if you change your purchasing and you change like the method of how you're going to eat on a regular basis, and like, because if meat purchasing is very expensive. Vegetable purchasing can be very expensive as well, though. If you're in a you know, economically tight situation, you do want to try to balance that. I definitely understand that there's a lot of need for people to you know, there's a lot of need just in general out there in terms of food. So we have instances like, you know, the food pantries, but those don't necessarily often provide, you know, the most nutritious types of things. So when I suggest that people, you know, eat healthier and worry about like, in terms of budgeting, I usually say to cut out, you know, aspects of meat in your meals, because that can be a very costly piece and it doesn't stretch as far as vegetables can. People are often big on organic eating, and that is somewhat there, but the levels of pesticides on food usually isn't high enough. Like it's truly not high enough, and we don't eat enough vegetables at one sitting to make the pesticides on your food and nutritious. So if you cannot afford organic vegetables, that's okay. We really just want you eating more vegetables. like in general, like it's okay if you cannot afford organic. We want you to eat more non-organic vegetables. That would be perfectly okay. Like I would love to see people, like, because it's very ingrained in our society to eat meat 3 times a day. That's far more meat than we need. The average woman needs 60 grams of protein a day, and the average man needs 70, and that's all you need in terms of protein. So since that's all you need, we're most likely overeating like our protein and under eating a lot of the other things that you would get, all the good whole grains and fiber. Fiber is super important, and people don't understand quite how important it is. And the average American also only gets 7 grams of that a day, and a woman needs 35 and a man needs 45. So we need to increase the amount of vegetables and whole grains we are taking in, and those aren't expensive. Brown rice isn't expensive. Like, you know, like grains, whole grains are like millet, bulgur. These things are not super expensive, and they stretch. They, you know, you boil them. They feed families. They can feed a family very like on, you know, a small portion of that purchase wise. You can people stewed chicken. So I know I mentioned meat, but there are meals we can make that stretch very well. That can that, you know, that have large quantities of meat, but that, you know, add some vegetables into, and then that is a way to mitigate the cost factor. I am a big fan of chickpeas in place of meat. Some people aren't for that. That's what I'm saying. To teach people these things that make them taste good, because a lot of people are apprehensive to like vegetarian in terms of eating and just eating more vegetables in general. But if I would suggest people do a thing, I would definitely suggest eat more vegetables and then eat less, you know, meat and processed things, because those are going to be less healthy for you. And if you purchase less of that, because I've gone to store, I see a bag of chips and that costs $3.50. Essentially, you can probably buy something else in the store that, you know, $3.50 worth of something much healthier than that bag of chips that's not healthy at all, and, you know, mitigate your.
I think we experienced a little bit of technical
Okay.
difficulties here, but Rachel, I think we got the gist of what you were saying. I wanted to bring Ebony into the conversation. I know your voice. I want to give you a chance to rest your voice, Ebony, because I can go on and on.
I know you can. Y'all got this. But I'm just super glad. So what I will say, Rachel, you really highlighted some important things about our food disparities, but how we eat in food survival and not eat for living. So a lot of the things have been made these accustomed circles around our lives. We work much more. We don't have as adequate time as we once did to cook, but you also do a phenomenal job. If you have not encountered Rachel out in the community, get to Rachel. Whether you need her to come in and speak to your group, speak to your youth, to adults, because I'm going to tell you, I'm going to give you a little tidbit. I got Rachel as an office mate, as a colleague. And before she decided, like, hey, I'm going to be an RD, a registered dietitian, she was really tailoring and helping me. So I'm going to tell you, you have to get that time with her and people like her to teach you about food. She would bring in things that I had never ate. And I would say, Rachel, what is this? What am I supposed to do with this? And she's like, no, but try it. Instead of that, try that. So she created this options. And I think it's awesome when we create options for our community. So what I want to give you the opportunity, and hopefully technology is our friend, to share about the program at Duville, which are medically tailored meals. Just give us a quick snippet about that program, because I think people need to know that. And if they're interested, how they can get in contact with you.
So yes, we have our medically tailored meal program. It's a very small cohort of individuals we currently have. And that's one of the key parts of our grant from the Mother Cabrini Foundation. We are working, so as part of our dietetics program, we have our students create these meals and learn how to create for individuals who may have a chronic disease or whatever disease state they do have. And we work with the individuals. We get a diet, we get a health history from them, and like we get their, diet preferences, and we have the students create meals for these individuals so that they can understand. As a key part of learning, we have, unfortunately, our field is not as culture diverse as it could be. It's becoming more so, but the field of dietetics has been heavily populated by people who it just didn't have really any diversity whatsoever in it. And learning, so the program is.
Okay, so tech was not our friend, but as she was sharing, they tailor these meals. And actually, I participated in this program. And while being in this program, I've lost like 15 pounds. And when we talk about our levels and the importance of our nutrients, what we need to get, all of my labs have definitely improved. So this program is phenomenal. With really finding out, hey, you may not like cheese, you don't like crackers, you don't like this. So they really walk through with you on what your diet needs are, and they introduce some new concepts to you to help you really improve your health outcomes. And they send you all of the ingredients so you can go mimic these meals for yourself and your friends and your family. So I thank Rachel for being with us, and everyone check out Duville Delish Kitchen for those medically tailored meals as well. And as always, we are always doing everything that we do for ourselves, for our family, and our community. Stan is going to quickly share before we close out our show upcoming opportunities for you to partner with us as a community vaccine champion. Stan?
Yes, thank you, Ebony, and thank you, Sam. One of my key takeaways I want to share with you all, that is from our discussion with Rachel. It's not necessarily about living to eat, eat to live. And I think that's very important to in this space, as we move forward. And as always, reach. We're reaching across the aisle. We're reaching across Main Street. Hey, we're reaching across Backstreet, to kind of like really make sure that the community has the information that they need so that they can make informed decisions about their health and wellness. one of the things that's not going away in our community right now that we're still addressing, is COVID, COVID-19 and the impact that is having, on our country, on our family, on our friends, and our community. And here in Buffalo, New York, for the month of May, actually from May through August, we're going to have a series of workshops surrounding how to have community conversations, how to have family conversations surrounding, COVID, in terms of how you can get vaccinated. So we want to encourage folks to be on the lookout, to go to, the website, and register for these community virtual trainings or workshops that we like to say. And, come in and let us know what your thoughts are, how you feel, what some of your fears are. It's an opportunity to dispel some of the myths and the misinformation that's out there. So, these workshops will be happening through May and throughout the summer. So we'll be sharing more information with you all as we move forward. So stay tuned. And thank you, Rachel. Apologize for the technical difficulties that we've been having, but you did a phenomenal job. Thank you for, spending your morning with us. Sam, was there any last closing remarks that you had that you wanted to add?
Oh, I just very much appreciate this conversation. I think it's important that maybe we have someone like Rachel or in the food space come back and talk with us a little bit more. There's so much more that we could get into, including how can we as a community rally around and advocate for better access to foods as well as education. So I'm just very much appreciative of this conversation and would love to see more as well.
All right, awesome. And we can't leave without thanking our extraordinary producer, Angelita. Woo, 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 woo. Thank you very much. Listen, we'll see you all on the other side in a couple of weeks. Take care. Godspeed to all.
Reach Buffalo, promoting a healthy community. Reach racial and ethnic approaches to community health locally in Buffalo to reduce racial and ethnic health disparities and rates of chronic disease. We want to make a change by reducing exposure to tobacco in housing and work areas, by increasing access to nutritious foods, by creating a breastfeeding community, by increasing referrals to primary care and community health providers, and by implementing community work groups. Reach Buffalo will concentrate on Ferry Street itself, as well as a community that resides within 4 blocks to the north and south of the corridor in 5 zip code areas: 14208, 14209, 14211, 14213, and 14215 in Buffalo, New York, with disparities in rates of chronic disease. Get involved. Ferry area residents will have an opportunity to have a platform to voice their opinions, organize, and make decisions in these efforts. For more information, you can contact Ebony M. White, Community Outreach Coordinator, at 716-268-2954.